In 1993, Pepsi North America was riding the crest of a high wave. They had integrity, they had strong corporate culture, and they had credibility, and they also had history. Founded in 1898, Pepsi was preparing to celebrate their 95th anniversary in 1993 of making and selling their popular soft drink. In the years leading up to the early 1990s, Pepsi had had great success promoting their product and enhancing their reputation through a whole series of advertising and promotional campaigns that involved numerous celebrity spokespeople, including Michael Jackson, Tina Turner, and Ray Charles, among many others. Additionally, Pepsi made use of a series of other promotional and marketing campaigns. The infamous Cola Wars and the Pepsi Challenge pitted Pepsi against Coca-Cola in an attempt to put to rest the debate over who produced the better-tasting cola. Organized promotional blind taste tests often had Pepsi winning out over Coca-Cola as the preferred choice. During the Cola Wars, Pepsi, as well as Coca-Cola, built up healthy competition and received quite a bit of media attention as a result of their campaigns. Pepsi was also preparing the grand unveiling of the new and unique Pepsi Crystal, which was a Pepsi drink that was completely clear and transparent. Pepsi was certainly in the media spotlight. It was around this time, quickly approaching Pepsi's 95th anniversary in 1993, that things took an unfortunate turn for Pepsi. On June 10, 1993, Earl Tex Triplett and his wife Mary Triplett of Tacoma, Washington made a startling discovery: a used syringe in a can of Diet Pepsi. The idea of finding a used syringe in a Pepsi can proved newsworthy, especially in this time period with the increased prominence of HIV and AIDS awareness. Local and national news and wire services picked up the Triplett's story, and within a week, claims of a similar nature regarding foreign objects in Pepsi cans, including syringes, sewing needles, pins, screws, even a crack cocaine vial and a bullet, had been reported in 24 states across the country. Eventually, most of these cases would all be revealed as hoaxes, but not before news of the tampering spread like wildfire through word of mouth and the mainstream news media, attracting widespread attention for Pepsi North America. An AP Wire story from June 19, 1993, that appeared in the Houston Chronicle noted that sometimes the quickness that a story gets out to the media only serves to precipitate more reports. Quoting the article, "Federal officials and some media watchdogs now blame news accounts for helping spread the week's wave of phony Pepsi tamperings nationwide. And journalists themselves are re-examining their role in such cases, trying to warn the public of health threats without encouraging hoaxes. Journalists should be concerned about their impact. There are too many crazy people out there," said Jack Cox, director of the Foundation for American Communications in Los Angeles. His nonprofit organization, which runs seminars for journalists and news sources, started focusing on coverage of tampering cases in 1986. On June 11, 1993, a second complaint citing a syringe in a Pepsi Cola can was filed from a woman, also in Federal Way near the Tacoma, Washington area. Pepsi took control of the problem by partnering with the Food and Drug Administration in what appeared to be a regionally contained situation in the Pacific Northwest. The two investigated the situation at the regional bottle factory, Alpac Corp. Susan Herbert, a spokesperson for Alpac Corporation, told the Associated Press the hypodermic needles were in cans that had been bottled 6 months apart. As both Pepsi Cola and the FDA gathered information, they kept the media informed while the investigation continued. The FDA announced that the syringes were not contaminated and immediately issued a statement on June 13, 1993, advising customers in Washington, Oregon, Alaska, Hawaii, and Guam that they should inspect cans prior to consuming its contents and pour all canned drinks into a glass before drinking. In the statement, District Director of the FDA, Roger Lowell, said, quote, "Consumers are the last line of defense in something like this. They simply have to be aware." He added that the acidity in the soft drinks would kill any bacteria or virus. The FDA's initial laboratory analysis showed no sign of contamination in the cans, and investigators spent 2 days at the Alpac Corporation warehouse and bottling works, interviewing managers and checking employee files. At the same time, however, the FDA also reminded individuals that making false complaints carried a maximum penalty of a $250,000 fine and 5 years in prison. On June 14, 1993, a third Pepsi Cola complaint was filed, but this time from a woman, Peggy Syndergaard, in Wyoming, who claimed she was struck in the lip by a needle after a second sip. The FDA issued another statement. From Rockville, Maryland, June 14th. The following statement was released today by David A. Kessler, MD, Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration. Yesterday, the FDA issued some very simple advice about canned Diet Pepsi. We said that everyone should empty the Pepsi into a glass or cup before drinking it. That is the best way to avoid the potential risk of any foreign object that might be in the can. Today we have learned that there have been additional complaints. They are unverified at this point. The FDA is thoroughly investigating those complaints. For the time being, the precaution remains a very simple one. Check the contents of the can. This advice is worth repeating. Before you drink Diet Pepsi that has been canned, pour the drink into a glass or cup. If you find a foreign object or suspect a problem, call the local office of the FDA or call the Pepsi Consumer Hotline at 1-800-433-COLA. Do not throw away the drink or the can because we will need to analyze it. Again, the number to call is the number of the local FDA office, usually listed under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, or call the Pepsi Consumer Hotline. Pepsi Cola realized that this issue was spanning the nation with 50 reports from 23 states, drawing attention from all media, but Pepsi Cola maintained its position that the reports were hoaxes. Pepsi Cola uses regional bottlers and factories around the nation. Factories could not have contaminated nationwide bottles in the same way at the same time with the same objects. Because Pepsi Cola was confident in its position of innocence, they decided not to recall any products. Instead, the company set out to prove the allegations were false. While many customers claim to have found syringes in their cans, customers from other states cited various foreign objects found in Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, and caffeine-free Pepsi cans. Pepsi Cola suspected that the foreign objects were inserted by the customers and were not the fault of the company and its employees, so the company decided it would not remove any products from store shelves. The beverage company approached the situation using a variety of strategies and tactics as the crisis situation unfolded. Pepsi's overall goal was to preserve the company's 95-year trademark and corporation. Pepsi Cola employed a fight the media crisis with media strategy. Pepsi Cola wasted little time assembling a crisis management team and chose Craig Weatherup, Pepsi Cola North America president and CEO, as spokesman due to his connection with the factory bottling system. Members of the crisis team gathered June 14th and included Senior VP Rebecca Mechera, PR Manager Ann Ward, Product Safety Expert Dr. Jim Stanley, and Manager of Public Affairs Andrew Giangola. Weatherup was available, quote, for interviews and constantly furnishing news media with visuals and anything else that would show the bottling process was absolutely safe. The team issued a video news release addressing the situation. Pepsi Cola responded quickly and frequently and gave the media full access to evidence by even unveiling an in-store surveillance video from Aurora, Colorado that caught a customer, Gail Levine, 61, slipping a syringe into a Diet Pepsi can when the cashier wasn't looking. On June 15, 1993, the FDA announced its first arrest in the case of a Pennsylvania man. And a mere days after numerous complaints emerged about foreign objects in Pepsi Cola cans, an FDA official announced several arrests and declared that Diet Pepsi was indeed safe. On June 26, 1993, Pepsi Cola ran full-page ads. And at the same time, attention shifted toward the President Clinton scandal, relieving media attention from the Pepsi-Cola situation, PepsiCo was able to declare the incident over less than 2 weeks after it began. It is unfortunate that Pepsi-Cola had to deal with the issue of product tampering, but as a worldwide soft drink provider, the company was prepared with a detailed strategic communications plan that the company enforced as soon as news of the crisis broke.